We are Tottenham TV, back here for some more news for you. But not only just news, we've got a small matter of another trophy to play for tomorrow night.
European trophy.
In Udine, PSG against Tottenham. The Europa League winners face the Champions League winners in the Super Cup. Me and Sim are flying out bright and early tomorrow morning, and I cannot wait to get out there. Apparently it's absolutely scorching out in Italy, over 35 degrees. So let's hope Spurs put in a hot performance as well.
Yeah, and if you want to back one North London club in a European final, there's only one to back.
Exactly.
It's us.
Only one ever get there.
Exactly. So another European trophy up for grabs. I'm all for it. Look, if Chelsea can beat PSG, why can't we? It's their first game of the season, the pre-season. So let's do it. Nothing to fear.
Yeah, look, we'll get into all of the Super Cup stuff a bit later on in the stream, but we're going to start off with a Tottenham update, and we're going to start off talking on Savinho of Manchester City. Fabrizio Romano says that he thinks that Tottenham will really push for the Savinho deal again in the next hours and days. Man City want at least 70 million euros. Savinho is quite open to joining Tottenham, and Thomas Frank is really pushing for him at this moment in time. And look, I think 70 million euros is a fair price, to be honest. I really do. I think a player of that quality, a player of that ceiling, the year behind him of Premier League experience, which he'll only get better from, he'll only learn from, and if we can sign him, I think we'll only reap the benefits from. And, you know, before he joined from Man City, he was one of the hottest products in European football. The way he just took the La Liga by storm, by all the stats and metrics, he was one of the standout players in Europe. So bring him in. That's what I say.
Yeah, I hope we're pushing. I hope we're really going for it. I hope we're serious about this, because I think we should try and get this deal done if there's a possibility by any means necessary, put it that way. And I think sometimes when an opportunity like Savinho pops up, because Man City are willing to let him go, not because of how he's a bad player or anything like that, but because they're looking for an even bigger player like a Rodrigo, who I think Savinho has the ability to be his equal potentially down the line. I think Man City's looking at the situation and they think they need a more ready-made player in that front three. So it's leading to a situation where he's become available. And I think would be so stupid and silly to let this opportunity pass us by. I think he's a top talent. He's already shown it for me in the Premier League. He can play at this level to a really good standard. I know you could brand him with the brush of good dribbler, looks flashy, but does he have an end product, all that kind of stuff. But he already got, 8 assists last season just in the league.
11 in all comps.
11 in all comps. One goal, obviously, he needs to improve on. But if you look at some of his shots he took last season and some of the positions he's taken up, I think the goals are going to come. I think it's just a matter of time. If he keeps getting himself in those positions, he's got a good shot on him. And he was very unlucky with a lot of efforts. He reminds me of in Mbeumo when he was very early on in his Spurs career. Not Spurs career, Premier League career.
No, I knew you were going to say that, because I was literally just thinking in my head, I was about to ask you, like, does he remind you of Mbeumo? Because I remember what you were saying about Mbeumo. He kept hitting the post. He had a really good shot, but it was just those fine margins that he wasn't hitting, right?
Exactly.
And then in the car on the way here, you basically spoke in the same vein about Savinho.
Yeah, and that's what came to mind. And in Mbeumo, he was such an exciting player, but that little end product, he was very unlucky. Inches he was away from being the forward that he is now today, because he refined that finishing. Look, to be fair, it did take him a few years. It didn't happen overnight. But as soon as he started hitting the corners instead of hitting the post and getting it saved by fingertip saves, he's now one of the most sought after wingers in the Premier League, and he's got a big move to Man United, and he got 20 Premier League goals last season. I think Savinho is going to be like that. I think you see some players like Adama. Let's say you're comparing him to like an Adama Traore, who's in some way similar, very good at dribbling, but his end product is lacking. He's not the kind of player who when you look at him, and he's not always having those attempts on goal. His shot technique is not as good. You don't look at him thinking he's got goals just ready and waiting. He is frustrating because his shot technique isn't so fantastic, and it's not like he's just inches away. He needs a lot of work to that. Savinho is very close. You look at him, I'm telling you, look at how he shoots, and you look at how close he gets at this young age. I'm telling you, he's waiting to explode. in goal scoring. I think assisting, he's already pretty much like a creative force. He already creates a lot of chances. I think when you look at key passes per 90, I think he was up there last season. You saw some of the assists he had for Haaland. Amazing ability to cross the ball on his left foot, and he opens up space just naturally with his dribbling, and he needs to maybe work on his final decision making. But when it comes to execution, it's really impressive. I think it will get there when it comes to his shooting. I think he's a phenomenal talent. I would be willing to pay 70 million for him. Do I think in the current transfer market value, right now, is he 70 million? Look, in my estimation, it's probably an overpayment. But for me, when you have an opportunity and the only way of getting him in is to overpay slightly to get him in, I think it's stupid not to do it, in my opinion. And I think it's worth doing. And he's very young as well. If it doesn't work out for one reason or other, you can probably still get a decent fee for him down the line if we need to sell him. So because he's still very young. So I think it's a smart investment from Tottenham. I think you get him through the door right now, and I think you got a winger there that's going to be playing for you, whether on the wing for many years to come, in my opinion. And I think he's a superstar in the making. I really do. I think he's a phenomenal talent. I think the impact he made in the Premier League, I think he goes under the radar because City had a poor year and because maybe he didn't get the goals he should have last season. People think he had a bad year. Now, I would say he maybe had a difficult year. I would agree with that. But bad, no, not at all. I thought he was actually really impressive last season.
I think the one thing that was disappointing was his goal return, wasn't it? 1 goal in the Premier League over the course of the campaign, particularly playing for a team like Man City. You do expect more, particularly when, in La Liga, he got I think 10 or 11 goals the season before, as well as 10 or 11 assists. So I think 1 goal last season for Man City is very disappointing. And when we're looking to get those goal contributions, to caveat what Son and Maddison and Decky are leaving, it does leave a bit of a question mark. But in terms of pure ability, and if I think he can get there in the end, I'm 100% backing this transfer and 100% behind him. And it was made me thinking last night, I was having a conversation with someone, do I think that Savinho can be the kind of long-term successor to Son? Can I see him on the right or the left? Doesn't really matter at this moment in time, but what I'm saying is, can he get those consistent goal contributions that Sonny used to get for us? Can he get to that level? And I actually think he can.
I think he's a bit of a different winger to Son. I think he's...
I'm not talking about in terms of style, I'm talking about in terms of contributions.
Yeah, I think when it comes to goal contributions, I wouldn't say he's the successor to Son, but I think he can bring something massive to the front line. I think he can get consistent goal contributions, 100%. Son was obviously like an absolute killer in front of goal. That was his main attribute. He was one of the most effective forwards you could ever get. Yeah. Now Savinho is quite different to that right now anyway. Not to say he can't develop that side of the game, and I do think he will, and I do think he's got a good shot on him. He's quite one-footed, I would say, as well. So he's very much doesn't like to use his right foot. He very much sticks to his left. But I think we've got obviously a lot of potential on those wings with him. We got Odegaard, you got Tell as well. I think when it comes to profile-wise, I would say Tell is the most similar to Son out of all of those players. But I think Savinho just brings a different dimension again to the attacking line. Obviously, you got Kudus in there as well. I think the question marks about goal contributions, I think, will remain even when he signs, because will he get them next season, I guess, is the question. Whether he can get there long term, I'm very confident. Whether he can get there this season, I guess that's the big question mark. I don't know. I think it's going to be tough to expect that. I do think he'll be getting regular assists, but is he going to be getting 10 goals next season? I think he's capable of it, but I wouldn't put my house on it, put it that way.
The thing is, right, Savinho with his... I think he's got unbelievable crossing ability from what I've seen. Those whipped crosses just seem to be on the money. And last season, he was whipping them into Erling Haaland. And I wouldn't be surprised. I haven't seen the stats, but I wouldn't be surprised is the majority of his assists had Erling Haaland on the end of it.
That was also something.
And at Spurs, obviously, he's going to have Dominic Solanke or Richarlison, who are obviously not on, anywhere near the same level as someone like Erling Haaland. So there is that to say as well.
Yeah, and Haaland's obviously physically an absolute freak. You see I was watching some of the goals Savinho assisted him last season.
How many were to crosses into Haaland?
A lot of them were, and some of them as well was like, how the hell did Haaland even get that? Like, I was watching, and so that's obviously got to be taken into consideration. But as well, some of them were just peaches from Savinho, and it wasn't just crosses; there was through balls there. I remember one against Arsenal. He spins Calafiori into the middle of the pitch and then just plays an inch perfect through ball to Haaland, and that's like, you know, one of the meanest defenses. He just opens up like that in a flash, and that's his ability that he's got. I think he started off probably better than he finished last season in terms of his season at City. I think he had a better first half of the season than he did second half. I don't know what kind of happened to him second half of the season, if he wasn't as good. But I look, you got to remember, he's still young. Players of his age are going to be inconsistent. You can't expect them to be world beaters. I know sometimes they are. You know, you get the odd few who are just really consistent at that age. But by and large, the rule is when you're his age, 21, it's going to take time to get that consistency. It's all a learning curve. Yeah. So I think for me, from what I saw from a player of his age at that level, was really impressive. And as you say, following on from a very impressive season in La Liga as well, I think there's a real star in the making there. And I think it's just an opportunity there that you've just got to take up if you're Tottenham. It's not going to cut. These opportunities don't come around too often, and if you let them pass you by, you're going to regret it. If we don't sign him this summer, I guarantee whether he stays at City or goes somewhere else, we'll be looking back at this thinking we should have either just paid the money or we should have just done everything we could have to got this opportunity, because we would be missing out on a real gem. That's my belief.
Agree. In terms of when and how we can get this deal over the line, I do think Spurs would go to something close to like 70 million euros. And do you think that Man City will sell him to us? I got a feeling that they're going to wait until after we play them, or put some clause that he can't play his debut against Man City or something.
Yeah, he might do. I wouldn't be surprised how these things work in modern football. Maybe the deal will drag on a bit anyway, but yeah, maybe only get finalised after. I mean, that's still a while, to be fair. When is that?
It's next weekend.
No, we play Man City next weekend.
Yeah, we play Burnley this weekend and Man City next weekend.
So what, 2 weeks? 10 days. We play Man City in 10 days.
Yeah, a week on Saturday.
Okay, so it's not too long to wait, I guess, in that sense. Yeah, it could be. It could. We might have to wait until then.
Yeah.
We might not. I mean, it could go either way. I wouldn't say that would be a deal breaker.
No, it's not going to be a deal breaker. I just got a feeling that, you know, how these things sometimes work out. But if we do sign him, you're looking at the wing options now, and you start to feel a lot more comfortable about it. With Savinho, Odegaard and Tell on the left-hand side, Kudus and Brennan Johnson on the right-hand side. I'm much more comfortable going into the season with that, and I think, you know, it adds so much more dimensions to our play. But that's the Savinho.
But I would say, yeah, I mean, it does, but if the big complaint, I would say, going into the season is we don't have enough ready-made stars, I don't know if this alleviates that necessarily.
No, I get that, but I feel like it just adds so much more quality to the front line.
Yeah. But it's also, you know, it shows it's not just about ready-made, it's about the talent. And I think that's what Savinho brings. Yeah,
and I think that it's always been a question of you want to buy ready-made talent, but it's not just about bringing in potential. It's not just about bringing in ready-made talent. You want a mixture of the both.
Exactly.
And far too often at this football club, we're just focusing on potential. Savinho is a very high potential player, but he's also got experience at the top level in La Liga, in the Eredivisie, and now in the Premier League last season. So he's actually an experienced potential player that has shown it. And we've bought in terms of ready-made players like Mohamed Kudus, like João Palhinha. So I think it's a good mix.
Yeah, I think so as well.
Next up, we're going to talk about the Eberechi Eze deal once again, as Fabrizio Romano says that Eze is keen on Tottenham move, as Palace are informed of his desire to play Champions League football. Deal now depends on club-to-club talks, but Spurs are seriously working on it, as reported earlier. I think in this moment, Tottenham are ahead of Arsenal because Tottenham are prepared to go very strong for Eberechi Eze. Miguel Delaney says there is widespread belief that Eberechi Eze's saga may come to a head this week. Eze is open to joining Spurs, with the club looking to seize a window of opportunity to possibly beat rivals Arsenal to his signature. Jacob Steinberg says that Tottenham are pushing to beat Arsenal to the signing of Eberechi Eze, and the Mail are saying that Tottenham are expected to make a formal offer to Crystal Palace for Eberechi Eze this week.
Are we actually doing this?
I don't know.
Are we actually doing it?
I don't know if we're actually doing it. But
is it happening?
I'm telling you, if this happens, it is going to send the Gooners into meltdown, absolute meltdown. And you know what? If he goes to Arsenal at this point, it's going to send Spurs fans into absolute meltdown as well. It'll be great getting one over Arsenal in terms of bringing in a player that they desperately want at the club. But aside from that, I think this guy is the key. This guy is the key for us, because I'd prefer to sign him than Savinho, but I do think we need both, obviously. But if it was one or the other, I'm picking Eberechi Eze all day long, because he can cover on the left as well. We're desperate for a 10. I don't know a 10 that's on the market right now that's anywhere close to Eberechi's level. And we've just wanted him for so long as well. It'll be great to see him in a Spurs shirt. And yeah, ahead of Arsenal in the race. Sounds good.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing is, it just sounds too good to be true to be able to bring in Eze and Savinho in the space of in this one window or space of a few weeks. It just seems like that is something that would never happen to a club like Tottenham. We would never be able to pull something like this off. And
just like when we thought it was too good to be true to bring in Gibbs, White and Kudus in 24 hours.
Exactly, and it did turn out to be too good to be true, unfortunately. I just hope that Tottenhamitis doesn't kind of infect these deals, and something goes wrong, which it happens a lot. Look, at this point, if either of these deals don't come off, it's going to be majorly disappointing. But as a Tottenham fan as well, you can't really expect either of them to come off, because these are the kind of deals which we usually get linked to a lot, but we never actually pull the trigger and actually never get over the line. When it comes to Eze, I'm a massive fan of him. I've been a fan of his for a long, long time. I think he's been phenomenal for Crystal Palace for many, many years. I think whether he was out wide on left or even more recently, more in a number 10 kind of left 10 kind of position under Glasner, I think he's done a phenomenal job. I think he's got a really great mentality as well. He's got a really good head on his shoulders. You can see he's really well liked, I think, across the Premier League. I think he's got... He's very professional as well. He's very different to the likes of Isaac, who's refusing to play. Even though Isaac, you can say Eze might have more of a case to be pushing for a move than someone like Isaac right now. And Eze is very much continuing to play for Palace. Played quite a good game in the Community Shield on the weekend, and he's continuing to be very professional for Crystal Palace and play quite well right now. And that goes to show the kind of person he is. I think the player he is as well, phenomenal. A lot of people call him, say he's another dribbly kind of player, head up with Kudus and Savinho, and obviously that is like his major strength. But I do think that is maybe because of how Palace play a lot. And I think it's because Palace ask him to do that kind of role, ask him to get on the ball, take people on, open up the space in that way. I do think he's more than capable of opening up defences with his passing range. I think he's a very good passer, in my opinion. I think if you look at his key passing stats, it's quite high most seasons. And that is for a Palace team who, aren't asked to create too many chances. They play on the counter-attack. So I think... I don't have too much of an issue of asking him to do that, in my opinion. I don't see him as someone who's lacking with his passing. Yes, maybe he's better dribbler than he is a passer, but I think if you ask him or hone in on that skill that he does have, I think he can use it just as well. I think he's a very good passer of the ball, very good player, playing through balls and long-range passing and things like that. I think if you ask him to use that skill set, he'll just use it more. And he's got that weapon in his armoury, in my opinion. So I'm not worried about that for me. I think he's got that ability to break down defences with his passing range, and he's got a brilliant shot on him from outside the box as well. Very good at set pieces, adds another set piece threat for us. We've seen him take free kicks and corners for Palace with regularity and to good effect. I think he's just the perfect player for us, what we need right now. The fact that he's played as a winger throughout his career, and as well as developed that ability to play the number 10 in the pockets in recent years and done that phenomenally, is a great asset for us as well. Means if and when the likes of Decky come back, or down the line Maddison come back, we can fit them all in, I think, in my opinion. And I think he'll fit in like a glove at Tottenham. Obviously we've got those famous pictures of him and Son and doing fashion shoots, having a nice laugh. Those shots of him at the Tottenham Stadium, his family being wined and dined and being groomed to come play for Tottenham. So I think it will just be a match made in heaven. The only big question mark is if we now go hard and push the big red button and either activate the release clause or put the money up that's required to get him in, does that activate Arsenal into action? Do they match our offer straight away? Are they in limbo? Are they actually not able to put the money on the table right now before they sell players? Or is it a case of they'll panic and put the money on the table and try and sell players after the fact? It's hard to know where they stand at the moment. All we know is right now they've not put the money on the table for one reason or another. They've been the ones who've been in negotiation with Palace for quite a few weeks now. and for one reason or another haven't been able to either agree a deal or stump up the money that's required. There's some suggestions they're not able to right now while they're looking to sell. But will that change things if Tottenham, make that bid? I guess we'll have to see in the coming days.
Yeah.
That is obviously the worry, and that's put a bit of anxiety in a lot of Tottenham fans.
Yeah, that's my biggest concern. We've heard reports today that Arsenal are, looking to move Trossard on, and he could potentially leave from now to the end of the window. And this is why Spurs need to act extremely fast at this moment in time. We need to get this deal done, and we need to agree a fee with Palace. We've heard that Eze is keen to join Tottenham. So quickly agree a fee with Palace before Arsenal can get any players out the door. And then it just leaves it firmly in Eze's court. And if he's willing to accept the contract offer quickly, we could have him, signed, sealed and delivered before Arsenal could even blink. So let's get this done.
Is there also maybe a hope that the fact that Arsenal have been dilly-dallying on this deal, do you think maybe it's in Eze's mind, like, these guys, they're not that serious about me?
Yeah, there's that, but there's also a fact that he's actually going to be a much more important player for Tottenham than he would be for Arsenal.
It's also true.
At Arsenal, they got Odegaard in the 10, who's their captain.
Mm-hmm.
On the left-hand side, they got Martinelli, they've got Madueke, who they've signed there now, and he's not like an out-and-out left winger anyway. At Spurs, there's a clear spot waiting for him to be the main man right in the middle,
but we
right
need
in the heart of the team. We desperately need him. He's of much more importance to Spurs than he is of Arsenal, and he might be looking at that and being like, do I want to be a kind of bit part squad? He wouldn't be. He would still get significant game time at Arsenal.
Where does he start? Arsenal? Does he start off the left, or does he start next to Odegaard? Like if you're picking Arsenal's best 11,
a lot of Arsenal fans are saying they want Odegaard benched for him. A lot of Arsenal fans are saying that, but I don't know if Arteta would actually do that. Is he going to bench his captain? I think he'll see a lot of minutes on the left, and when Odegaard needs a rest, he'll go into the middle. Or if Odegaard keeps putting in stinkers, then he will replace him at some point. So I think that Eze will get significant game time at Arsenal. However, at Spurs, I think he'll literally be straight away one of the main men, and that's it.
Do you think if he's thinking, let's say he's thinking about the World Cup next summer, where do you think his best avenue of getting in that World Cup squad is? Is it being a left winger or is it being a number 10? And if, given whatever answer that is, he's obviously probably going to be more of a number 10 for Spurs and potentially more of a left winger for Arsenal. So where do you think Eze, does he feel his best position is? Does he feel like he's more
10? I think.
You think he feels like he's more of a 10? So then surely 10. Tottenham's the best place for him.
Yeah, well, in terms of positional wise and from a sporting merit, then yes, but then there's other aspects to it where obviously Arsenal are much further ahead for us. They're fighting for bigger things than us, and he's also an Arsenal fan.
Yeah.
So there's a few different elements. It depends on the way Eze is looking at this deal. That's what it depends on. But I think if we make it known to him that he's going to be the main guy, we push really hard, make him feel really wanted, get on the phone to Frank, let him sell the project as well, then I think there's a big possibility that we can get this done whilst Arsenal are dilly and dallying.
Yeah. And I think if Arsenal are putting out this position like, we'll bring you in if we can afford you, and if we sell it to him, look, we want you in at all costs, then maybe he'll look at that and think, okay, these guys are more serious about me. They really want me. And, Arsenal want apparently as well, when WeAre just signed a new deal, he wants guaranteed, game time. They see him as a number 10 option as well. Does Eze block that kind of pathway in that sense? So I think, I don't know, something tells me Arsenal want this deal on the cheap. They don't want to really pay for this. And maybe if we show we're willing to pay the money, maybe he'll think, okay, maybe this really is a better place for me.
I'll tell you what though, I'm not ready to do this all over again after the Morgan Gibbs White debacle.
I know, we've all got PTSD.
We've all got PTSD. To us, Tottenham this time, please.
It's funny, I was watching a Palace YouTuber, Ollie Thomas, and he was giving his opinion on the transfer, and he was saying, if I was Palace, I would not let Tottenham get Eze. Maybe I'd allow Arsenal to get him, but I wouldn't let Tottenham get him. I think he's too good for Tottenham. All this kind of stuff. It's like, why does everyone just have this view of Tottenham like they want to just keep us in our place? He can't let us get too good. Can't let Tottenham get him. Why does he care if he go? Why would he prefer he goes to Arsenal than Tottenham? Why is it such a big deal? Is it because he sees Palace as being able to finish above Tottenham and Arsenal?
Yeah, Palace finished above Tottenham last season, so it does make sense from from that kind of standpoint.
I know, but it's like we just want to keep you there. You know, we can't have Tottenham getting too good. We have Marinakis basically saying he can go to City, but he can't go to Tottenham. It's like, just allow us to use our money, and if players want to come here, then allow us to sign them. Stop like trying to keep us in our place. We're a big club. We just won a European trophy. All right, we're the ones. We're Europa League champions.
Pleading.
Right, it's like this whole thing is just does my head in. All these people just like no, you can't sell to Tottenham. The whole Premier League is saying you can't sell to Tottenham.
Yeah,
honestly.
But look, I just can't be let down once again. Like I'm trying to like control myself and being like not get too overexcited about these two deals.
The prospect is too exciting not to get excited. It's so
exciting to bring in two players of this caliber, Eze and Savinho. I can't help myself get overexcited and dream about the prospects of having these three behind a striker, but there's just something in the back of my mind.
I just think
like this
it all comes down
all over again.
I think it all comes down to this: what Smith's saying is it actually happening?
You know what I mean? Like,
is
come
it?
On.
This is what I think. Smith has got it spot on. This is I think what everyone is truly thinking. It's all great talking about Savinho and Eze and all this stuff. It's all well and good talking about potential and these deals in the pipeline, but at the end of the day, is your gut telling you we're really at the end of the window? Savinho and Eze are going to be Tottenham players. Because your gut, because my gut tells me they're not. Yeah. That's what my gut tells me. As much as logically I can understand why these deals could happen, and I want these deals to happen. I'm excited about these deals to happen. Like when I envisage Tottenham's window, do I really envisage in the in column Savinho and Eze actually being there?
It's just not who we are, mate.
It's just not what I can't actually believe that we are going to be signing both of them.
I know, but just surprise us, Tottenham, please. Get these deals done. And if we do end up with a window of Eberechi Eze, Savinho, Kudus, Tel, Palhinha, and even you can add in Kevin Danso and Kota Takai. I mean, do you remember a better transfer window ever for Tottenham?
No, it'd be our best ever window. I mean, surely it'll be most ever money spent.
Yeah.
And it would be, then in terms of getting the talent there, phenomenal talent we've got in. I mean, it set us up in a really good way. Would you say if that's the window, like, has Frank been backed? I guess that's always a question that comes up. Like, if
Frank would definitely have been backed with this window. You're bringing in three. You're bringing in Tel, obviously, who was on here on loan, who's got high potential, hasn't really lived up to it as of yet. You've got Eberechi Eze and Mohamed Kudus, who are Prem-proven quality players. You've got Savinho, who's a year in the Prem, smashed it in La Liga, high potential player, and I mean I put him worlds apart to Matisse Tel at this moment in time. You've got a young prospect in Kota Takai and Kevin Danso, who flourished for us last season. So I think that it's definitely a case of backing Frank. I would say the only place that we're light on is at left back. I'm kind of comfortable with every other position.
Yeah, I think left back and I
striker.
Striker, depending on what's happening with Solanke and Richarlison. If we sell Richarlison and don't sign someone, I'd say we're definitely light. If they'll
move Tel. Tel's going to be the backup 9, isn't he?
And I'd say we're quite light in that one. If we keep Richarlison and if he can stay fit, I think we're okay. But that's always a big question. And I think centre back as well. I can understand the argument to say that we're still a bit light there, like just because Dragoshin, if he is out still till like November, December, Takai, is he actually an option now or is he not? I don't know. And if the answer is no, then it leaves you really with Danso, Romero and Van der Ven and maybe Ben Davis, but he's supposed to be covering left back. So I think there's still a bit of an issue there, but it's maybe an issue you can manage, but it's still quite a bit of an issue. But yeah, left back's a big one for me.
The reality is you're looking at last season to this season, the attacking options are a lot better. I think for me, in terms of the number 9, Dom Solanke has a big year to prove himself. You've got creators now in there with Eze, Kulusevski to come back. You've got Savinho, who can create chances. You've got Mohamed Kudus, who can create chances. You've got players behind them as well that can create chances. So it's a big season for Dom Solanke, and he needs to pick up the goals.
I saw a lot of people suggesting if Savinho does come and Rishi Dutt leaves, maybe Brenner moves to striker.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. I wouldn't be against that
something
at all.
That people are thinking.
Yeah, I wouldn't be against that. And, that's the kind of assumption or prediction that we were going for when Frank was first linked with us and when we first got Frank, saying Brennan would, he would serve well as a more central player. I just can't see him working out on the wings under Frank. I just can't see it.
Yeah, the way, just what I've seen, especially off the left, I don't want to see him there. And yeah, I think he had a very specific role under Ange. It was very system specific.
He's a good finisher. He's a good finisher.
It was very system specific. And look, maybe under Frank they can develop a system as well and get Johnson to maximise his capabilities. But I think, if he does move to a striker, it's a striker which offers something different as well, isn't it?
He is. However, I do worry for Johnson in the number 9 when we're trying to spam crosses in there and him trying to win it in the air. I don't think he's up to that.
No, but specific games you're playing, even if let's say you're
Liverpool away,
yeah,
City
exactly,
away,
where there's space and you can just you get him in early, and I think in transitions he could be up front, get him central, and he's good finisher on both feet as well. He's actually quite two-footed. Yeah. That could be something to think about. Maybe that's what they are thinking about, that kind of thing.
No, I agree.
Just a quick one. It says here Frank will be with the media at 3:45.
3:45. All right, 15 minutes.
So we'll get some quotes from maybe while we're live. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see.
From Frank.
But look, that is your Tottenham update for today. Hopefully, some more news still to come today. I'm dying for that. Here we go. Just please, Fabrizio. Please.
You know what? Even if we get a here we go, I'm not until I'm seeing him have medicals, or even then we saw Gibbs White have a medical.
He didn't have one yet.
We saw him in London or something. He was saying, he's having a medical. So until he's holding the shirt, at this point, you can't get too excited, because I just know we'll get here we go for Eze, and then Arsenal gazump us somehow. I'd get you just even that here we go.
Fabrizio better be careful with this here we go.
You better be bloody careful. I can't believe you bungled a here we go for us.
Yeah. But anyway, that is that.